Clarence Clarity is a pop producer, an eclectic mind. Broke out in 2015 with his Know Now album, an album that actually at the time I didn't really think was that good, but over time it seems to have grown on me quite a bit. I feel as though the praise that that album has seen has only like risen over time as well, so I do feel like that only shows to how impressive the production style was on that album and how, you know, interesting and intricate a lot of the sound was on that album. And Clarence over time has just been seen as this producer that's pretty progressive and pretty out there and adventurous, and there's no one really out there in the game that's like him. And then he produced the EP last year for Rina Sawayama, who saw even more success than he initially did when he first broke out. Rina has only been growing and growing and growing over this past year, and is sure to be releasing like a really stellar pop album next year, I believe it's coming out. And Clarence Clarity is a part of that and has been a part of other projects as well. Just getting his name around there is pretty impressive to see this like small name starting to rise. And I am hoping to see that think piece continues that rise, because yeah, this is fucking good, isn't it? This is a really good album. Oh wow. So a few of the tracks from this album have actually been circulating for a little bit of time now. I do believe Clarence has been working on this since 2016 as well, so you can kind of see that he's been putting quite a lot of effort into making this the album that he really wanted to make. And one thing that I can say about Now was that as great as it was, I do think it was a little long. Like, there were just a few filler moments, despite the fact that throughout the whole album there weren't really any bad tracks, but I certainly do think it could have been shorter. And here we are with Think Piece, which is pretty much the perfect runtime for what this sound is going for, I think. It's pretty much just bombastic, obnoxious, to be honest, as hell. Pop music that's just so in your face. There's just so much passion just thrown into the vocals. He's over singing so much of this album, and yet nothing sounds out of place to me at all. The instrumentals are just dripping in colour. Like, there is just so much colour smeared over these instrumentals. They get stuck in my head for friggin' ages after I've listened to this. I'm even like singing the song in my head now where it's like, girl. And the hooks on this album, man, like, this is just what pop music needs to be. You're never gonna find this top in the charts, but this is what needs to be at the top. I probably sound like a pretentious shithead, but I don't care. This is how good music can be when you produce it so well, and so much effort can go into it to crafting just the catchiest as hell songs like ever. The transitions from track to track are flawless, to be honest. The way the tracks like transition from verse to chorus are just expertly done throughout the whole album. There's never really a moment that feels like, that could have been done better, that probably could have been tidied up a bit. I just never find that moment, despite the fact that this album is sort of oozing in like 80s nostalgia, but at the same time it's like futuristic in the most creative way I could ever imagine. You know, the stadium type anthem choruses do feel a little 80s, but yet with the production that is as strange and wild as it is, it just only sounds like the future to me whenever I'm listening to this album. It's just everything that what made Know Now great put into a more concise package, and somehow even more accessible and dancey as it could have ever been. Perhaps working with Rina has made him a bit more, you know, concise with how he crafts, you know, the pop tracks. Because there's something different here, even though it still has that Clarence Clarity template that we've always known, or anyone that knows him knows. One thing you'll notice about this album when listening to is, while there are some really well-made choruses and hooks, often they're used on other tracks in a different way, which I do think could have probably been I don't know, like there's something about it that makes me think, oh, if he'd used something else here, how good would it have sounded? Like that's all that's going through my head. Then I think to myself, as repetitive as this is, like it never gets old. Like it just keeps feeling fresh every time it's used. I don't know how he does it, but he lures you in every time, like on track 2 and track 4, the Naysayer track and the Adam track. I forgot the names of them off the top of my head right now, but there's a part in the Naysayers one in the middle of the song, like it kind of cuts out and then transitions into the second half where it formulates the same hook that was used on track 2. And it sounds slightly different, but it sounds like it's been manipulated in a new way. Like, even though it's already been done, it sounds different to me, and I don't really know how or why it is that way, but it's just really interesting how it works in my mind. I could totally imagine how you'd listen to this album and think, it's getting a bit repetitive and redundant, but I just don't see it that way because each track feels completely new and fresh. Like Vapid feels ain't vapid. Just the way this track like bounces off the beat and then the chorus comes in, it's really like hard hitting and pummeling, but the drums just sound really crisp. It's just crazy how it all comes together to craft into this just like pop bliss. And the anthemic choruses just keep coming on tracks like Next Best Thing, which I do think has been out a little bit of a while now, but I can't remember when exactly it came out. But you know, again, just the familiarity of this chorus just kind of rings really true because it does sound like one of the most nostalgic songs, but it's not like I feel like I'm being like I'm transported into like another decade in the past. I feel like it's futuristic in a weird way. Then we get to a track like Same, and if anyone's been following Clarence for a while, he did this EP a few years back where every track was the same, all titled Same. So, you know, I think people expected this track to be just that track. It was very weird that he did that, but the way he sort of presented it was pretty funny too, and how he like tried to make out each song had a different meaning, even though they were all the same. But then you get to this track, and once again we've got that like manipulation of other songs, because the first half of Naysayer is this track again, but it's changed slightly, and I don't know how different it is, but it just sounds a little bit different and sounds like it's like constantly evolving, you know? It's like he's got this template of an idea, but then he evolves it like multiple times within the album. So as you're traveling through the album, you feel like you're entering different time periods in the future. It's really weird. He does change things up quite a little bit though on tracks like Law of Fire, so this is like right at the end of the album. The production here feels a lot different to the rest of what's been going on, but it still sounds really cool and really unique for what it's going for. There's this really weird this refrain though that's really weird where he's like, I want to kill people in my dreams, which makes me wonder like what little things I'm missing in this album that might be twisted and weird and like out there as fuck. But man, this entire album really is a ride. Like, I could imagine someone listening to this and really not getting with the way a lot of it sounds, because it's a bit dizzying and it's a bit weird. But unlike Iridescence, which felt all over the place and inconsistent, this just has a very consistent sound throughout, whilst also being adventurous and experimental. Yeah, this was something, man. I really can't describe most of this music because it's just so intricate and weird, and in the best kind of way as well. This is absolutely going to be one of my albums of the year, so do check this out. And yeah, I'm going a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Woo! I don't think I'll have many experiences like this when it comes to music, and I hope there is more like this in the future, because this is something special, I think. Let me know your thoughts though if you enjoy this album. If you don't like this album, let me know what you think. I friggin' love it. I hope you do too. Just comment below and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Check out this album, it's very good. Bye, have a good day, bye. Girl.